What keeps me from trusting and following God?
What keeps my friends from trusting and following God?
What keeps kids from trusting and following God?
What keeps you from trusting and following God?
What keeps us from trusting and following God?
I think probably the word ignorance. It wasn't that I hated God or had really had any past experience with Him. I didn't really have any developed thoughts about God. I think it was just the fact that I didn't know anything about Him. One of my first memories here is my friend Nathan teaching me how to play pool, which was difficult because he didn't really know how to play pool either. Another one, probably my favorite night at the cafe when I was younger, was a night we had a foosball tournament and Nathan and I won. So that was good stuff. I don't remember really when my first time coming here was, but I just remember coming here, my friends thought they could play the drums, and so they were loud and obnoxious, and had other friends who thought that they could play the piano really well. So I just remember coming here and my friends were being musical, sort of, and that was how I got involved here, starting taking guitar lessons and stuff.
So Chris told me he was coming to the CrossWord Cafe, and I didn't really know what it was because the name doesn't really give you a whole lot of indication of what it is. He was riding his bike and his scooter around with his friends, and he told me about he came into this place and they played pool, and my first thing was like, why are you playing pool? Were you in the bar at the VFW or whatever? And he said that they had air hockey, and then the next thing that he was really excited about was the guitar lessons. Both yourself, Brent, and Rusty were teaching guitar lessons, so he was excited about getting a little cheap guitar and learning how to play guitar. And then the next thing was a youth group on Wednesday nights here at the CrossWord Cafe. So he and his brother were both coming to that, and they had a lot of fun doing that. And I started to realize that, okay, this is a church thing, and they're learning a little bit more than just, playing pool or hanging out with their friends.
I think the biggest thing was the guitar lessons. I had a handful of different guitar teachers here, but that was what started it all. And I think around 6th grade, started learning how to play guitar. I had a piano teacher at one point for a few months. He also taught me how to play foosball really well, so that's good. It was interesting that I only learned songs about God, and I really didn't know didn't know that much about God or why these songs were written about Him, but I remember that my first song I learned how to play was Step by Step. It's an oldie but a goodie. So yeah, now I've been leading worship at my home church for a long time and kind of had its roots here. Yeah, it was great. I don't think that I would have been involved, or at least not as quickly, had the youth group that I went to here been at a church or somewhere else. This was a place that I went to hang out, and it was always a non-threatening environment. I always felt safe, and so when I heard that something else was happening in this building, it felt a little more comfortable than if I had to go some building I didn't know. And there are some students who go here that I know if they knew that there was something going on in a church, they wouldn't go simply because it's in a church. So being in this safe, non-threatening environment is kind of a way to get your foot in the door.
The CrossWord Cafe was the logical place to meet. It was a place where kids were at. It was big enough to hold our group and so forth. And so I came down here, and it wasn't but the first week or two that we were down here, that scrawny little Chris walked across the sidewalk with a couple friends, and I just ran out and grabbed him and talked to him. And really how it came about is I was challenging kids to invite their friends from school, and we had a kid named Jared Spencer that I was really pushing him to bring his friends, and Jared, I believe, was the one that pestered Chris to finally come, and Jared was bringing his friend in, and it just went from there. Chris came probably every week for about 8 years, and it went from this scrawny kid that didn't know anything about God to a man of God, truly. through his relationships with people at the CrossWord Cafe, through his involvement as a student leader. From the very beginning, the kid was a leader. He has become what I would say is exactly what God intended him to become.
Yeah, Chris Heffron, John's wife, we didn't interact a lot, but whenever we did, she always had something profound to say to me. And I understand that profound to a junior higher is different than profound to an adult, but then what she had to say meant a lot to me. A lot of students who come here have one parent, or they've got two parents who don't care about them. I had two parents who cared about me a lot, but I was a 7th grade, 6th grade kid, so parents are dumb at that point in my life. So when I come here and I can talk about my problems or my questions, it's good to know that there are people who are listening and care about what I have to say, but it's also good to know that they're wiser than me and that they had something to offer.
Well, that was a surprise to hear that, and it's always kind of cool to hear a kid come back to say that anything that you said or did with them had an impact, because sometimes you do wonder if it is at the time. Sometimes they get into deep conversations and it flows and everything, and other times they're just kind of being a kid and not paying attention, and you're wondering if anything's getting through to them at all. So that was really cool to hear that. Well, I'm kind of a shy person, and so I don't like to be up front doing all the glitzy, programmy things, and I used to think that might be a detriment in working with kids, but I've come to realize that it's not really, because the quieter kids and the ones that are more shy, they like to have somebody quiet that they can talk to and stuff. So those moments can be used to really be with the kids and not worry about that I'm not up front doing the program stuff.
I think the biggest thing I've learned from people who work here and from doing my own ministry here is that this isn't a part-time gig. It's not just coming here from 3 to 5 a couple times a week or from 6 to 8 or whatever. If you give these kids your phone number and if you tell them that you want to be a part of their life, they will take you up on that offer. To this day, I still get 2 to 3 phone calls a day from students that I met here this summer. It's great. It's some of the most rewarding work I've ever done. But it's not something easy. It's not something you can do just to cross off, well, I did my good deed for the week. If you're getting involved here, you're getting involved here. Well, like I said, when I was here at youth group, I remember standing on that stage just behind me with my mom and my brother talking about getting baptized, and at the Super Bowl party that they put on, my brother and I were baptized next to each other in the swimming pool. It was a really cool experience. That was when my mom started going back to church. She'd gone when we were kids, and then we had been hopping around for a little bit, and then just eventually gave up trying to find a good church to go to. And so that's how we got plugged in at Chillicothe Christian Church. Talking about a different family, this summer while I was volunteering, I had a chance to meet and talk with and pray with the parents of one of the students that goes here, and it was a really cool experience.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved